welcome to Quilling with Jess here on Patreon. I'm so grateful that you've joined, and Happy New Year. This is a new intro just to kick off our 2026 videos. If you've been joining up until now from August, I'm so grateful that you've been here. If you're new, welcome. And our video will start in just a few minutes. I wanted to just give you a little bit of insight as to what this year will look like. Our even months will be the normal kind of videos that we've had in live streams, where there's just either a seasonal or fun little activity to do. However, during our odd months, we're going to focus on a specific skill or technique. So for January, we'll be making beads, and probably in the next few odd months there'll be spirals and teardrops and things of that nature. And so the whole month will focus on that one technique and the kind of art that you can make specifically focused on that. I hope that that's enjoyable for you all. I hope that you have had a good time thus far learning along with us, and that you'll share over on Instagram and here on Patreon as well how the activities are going, who you give them to, where you display them, if you wear them, like our New Year's earrings. And yeah, happy crafting. Alright everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining here on Quilling with Jess. Today we are going to be talking about making earrings out of paper bead. So if you did not see the beginning of the month's video on making paper beads, I will ask that you go back and review that to learn how to make paper beads and the different types of paper that can be used to make all of these amazing different varieties of beads. So I'll have you do that instead of me going through them in detail again today. However, I am going to show you a few examples of earrings that I've made with beads before making the ones that we're going to make today. I'll set this to the side a little. So, let's see. Probably the most basic and probably the most close to the earrings that we're going to make today is this pair. Now, if you can see, these are the white pages, our book pages that we made into paper beads. I say we because my husband definitely made the majority of those beads in there, as you might have heard on our first video for this month. But I just love these. They're so simple. They're really versatile. Think Christmas, think weddings for certain color schemes. Think just everyday. These are your really good, simple, everyday kind of earrings. So those are one example. Another is a bit more spring-like. So these are all paper beads, and these pink ones are actually paper beads. They've been sitting there for a while, and then we just squish them. Just squish them flat and glue them around like that. So really simple, but really fun. And these are really popular with kids that come to my booth, or with people who want to have some pop of color. And it's just really simple. All of these earrings are incredibly lightweight to the extent that I've had a customer to come back and say they forgot when they got in the shower that they still had them on. And so they were unfortunately ruined. But yeah, so it's a good and a bad thing, I guess, that they're nice and lightweight. You'll forget that they're on, but do remember that you're wearing earrings and take them off before you take a shower. So there's those. There are these pair that were, I will be honest, these were a bit more difficult to get to stay together in the shape that I wanted, and it's because they're just so delicately glued in one tiny little spot. But if you're patient, you're willing to let these dry fully before starting to jewelry them up, then you are good to go. These white pieces are also book pages. You can't see really any of the writing on them, just maybe a little bit there. Yeah, so there's some more options. And these, you may recall from a few weeks ago, are fully upcycled beads made into little angels. So the paper for the body and for the halo are upcycled from a craft store. The wings are book pages, which I think are a bit more obvious on this one than on the last beads. And the heads are actually origami paper that is actually flowered. You just can't really see it on where there is no glue. So very, interesting and varied options for how you can use beads to make earrings. And so it's really nice because then, say there's a day I know I want to make some earrings, or I know I need to make some earrings. I have a show coming up, and just the inspiration isn't totally there, or I don't have a ton of time. These being fully prepped, yes, it took hundreds of hours, not hundreds of hours, it took plenty of hours to get all these done and to maintain these, because I do still maintain them after they've been made initially. But then on a lower motivation, lower inspiration day, lower time day, I can just come in here, pick out a few colors or patterns or things like that, put some things together and make a pair of earrings. So today we're going to remake one of my favorite pairs of earrings that only recently sold. It kind of hung around for a while, but it was a pair that I also even made a pair for myself. I don't have them anymore, but so I'm going to use some highlighter yellow, which I can't say there's a ton of times when I actually use that, so it's kind of nice to use it every now and then. I'm going to choose 2 small book pages because these are going to be the beads that I hook my jewelry to. I'm going to grab some bigger book page ones. So these are just thicker around than those little ones. And maybe I'll grab some light green. I don't have a ton of those left in there, so maybe let's just clear those out. That's the other nice thing. Sometimes you just start picking up colors and realize, like, oh, I can clear out that color and get rid of that. So those are some fun colors. And then let's maybe add in a little black. No black. Let's do maybe some bright blue. Yeah, those might be kind of fun. So just, just kind of play around with it. Maybe you hate all these colors that I just picked. That's fine. Pick whatever colors work for you. Actually, you know what? I might get a little bit more creative and add in some pattern paper. Yep, I think we might do some of that. All right, so I'm gonna keep this nearby in case I change my mind and want to get some different colors, but let's start playing around with it. So I'll be honest with you, I did not make a design today because I wanted this to come off as organic as it does when I make these myself, when I'm not teaching. So I am just going to tell you, grab a variety of beads. We're going to start gluing them around. I know the general shape that I'm going to make because, like I said, I'm going to be remaking a pair that I've made before. But the colors and the amount of beads might vary. So this one's kind of small. So, okay. So let's see how many we have of each color and then just divvy them up. Because remember, we're making 2 earrings because we have, in theory, we have 2 ears. So let's see. Who's there? And here. And then we've got 4 blues. So I'm going to separate those. So this is just a good way to kind of see what you've got to work with and then start playing around with it. I don't want these small ones in here. So let's do those. Okay. So now we start to kind of shape them around, see what we want to do. So what I know that I want to do, and so I'll go ahead and start with first, is I know that I'm going to be using my clear tacky glue today. So if you only have white school glue, that's fine. The only difference for this is you have to wait a significantly longer time for these to dry before you want to start putting jewelry on. So just be aware of that. So if you only have that, no problem. You can use that. Alternately, I myself like to use clear tacky glue anytime that I'm making earrings, but especially when I'm making kind of an abstract shape, because this is going to allow me a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of shape molding, and then it's going to dry clear and dry well. I have accidentally dropped a few pairs of abstract earrings in the sink before, not like a full sink, but one with a little bit of moisture, and they were fine because I spent a lot of time making good beads and having a lot of glue, school glue when I make them, and then I use this clear tacky glue that keeps them really solid together, so they're not just going to easily break apart. So especially if you have been concerned in the past about making paper earrings with me because you're worried they're going to fall apart or they won't stand up to things really well, abstract earrings, especially those made with paper beads or any earrings made mostly with paper beads, those are going to be your jam. Those are going to be the sturdiest and the least likely to have any issues falling apart or anything like that. Okay, so I know that I want to use the book page ones and the other origami color ones. I want to use those somewhere near the bottom. And so I might do a little bit of layering. And by layering, I mean have them be kind of stacked. So maybe I'll only use one book page and then use two of those and then start making my shape up here with the other beads. But maybe not. Yeah, maybe I will. Okay. So to glue these together then, I only want to have enough glue for that one side where it's going to stick to. Alright, so we'll just do that there. And then set that down. And then the same thing on this one. Just a little bit of glue on the side there. And then stick that there. Alright, there. And so I'm going to do that with this one while I know kind of what I'm working on. So do that over here and put my extra book page aside. So I do need this one then. Okay. Try to make sure you glue them the same distance into the white so that way, they lay about the same way, same length. Okay, there we go. All right, so we'll give those time to dry while we are working on everything else. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, before we continue, I did forget one pair of earrings that I really wanted to show you. These are my earrings. I did not make them from pre-made beads, but they are, I made them specifically for this, but they are so fun. They're really, like you can really dress them up because they have so many pieces of jewelry. And they have various shapes or sizes of beads and a lot of jewelry pieces. So I think there are 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 pieces of jewelry, not including the earring hook. So lots of pieces of jewelry. The only other high amount of jewelry pieces that I've used on a pair of earrings before was 10. This is almost double that just for one. And yeah, I love these. I had put a big hoop around them initially, a paper hoop, but I just didn't love it. And yeah, these are just, they're so fun. I wear them all the time. So I wanted to make sure to show you these as well. Okay, so back to these. So now is when we just kind of start playing around with this. So we know we've got 3 of the green. We know we've got 2 of those. And I know, let's bring this back for a second. Try not to let it fall apart. So I'm thinking probably to squish them in just to start making them stand that way. Thankfully, these stand pretty well. Okay. So yeah, you can just start kind of like mixing them in. Maybe we'll just do green all the way up the middle, and then make these ones the buried ones. It's kind of nice. All right. So then we'll glue these all like this. And then have the little bead at the top. And so these are another version of paper earrings that are just really simple. They're really varied. You can wear them for just about anything, and they're going to be pretty solid. All right, so let's glue these together. And then I'll go ahead and glue the other one together just the same. But then since we have the time and I like showing more variety, I am going to show you one more type of using these beads to make some earrings. Okay. So let's go ahead and do one more pair. And this is just because we've got a little extra time. And I want to show you, so these are all, glued vertically. So let's try some that are glued horizontally. Now, let me grab out my beads again and grab some colors. Okay. We've done our cool colors, so now let's do our warm colors. Also, with Valentine's Day coming up in just a month, it's nice to have some options for either gifts or earrings that you actually want to wear. I don't know why this one is so small, so we're going to swap him out. Every now and then there's a bead that we made with, maybe just some remaining paper, and you're like, oh my gosh, that is quite a bit smaller than I was wanting. Okay, so these are going to be our bottom pieces, but we're going to take these and make sure we do the same thing as before, count out our equal amount of colors for each one. Oops, there we go. All right, and this time I'm just going to create like a diamond shape, but I'm going to kind of try to vary my colors as I can. That might kind of be nice. And then we'll have this here. And then what we're going to do is shift things. So then you have kind of a unique shape. You might even shift them just a little more to really get that shape in there. Here. All right. And I like this because it's just, again, it's really unique. It's really simple. This peach color, you can't really tell as well on there, but it's really lovely. And yeah, this is going to be a good mix for several different outfits as well. So that's why I really like using these abstract earrings, because each of these types of earrings, each of these little colors can play into several different outfits. Like I'm thinking of like 5 outfits I could wear each of these pairs with. So this one is, we're going to glue these horizontally. So each of these you're going to be able to see the hole, whereas on these you can tell you can't see the holes because they're glued vertically. So let's go ahead and glue those together. And the goal here is to get them to stick or have glue where they're going to touch. So that one touches there, but this one here is going to touch the red one and the peach one. So we want to have glue and glue. So that way when we set them down together, they're going to, I call it kiss. They're going to kiss both those spots. So we're going to do the same thing with the purple because it's going to kiss both those spots. And we'll just put that there. Same thing with this purple, but it's going to kiss in a few different spots. Kiss and kiss. I suppose that's appropriate since we were just talking about Valentine's Day for these earrings, that they have a lot of kissing going involved. Now, if you don't want this extra little thing, you can always just shorten it up wherever you like. I'm going to keep going because I like it to be a little bigger. All right. You can also leave out the extra page if you want to just have the colors. And then when you hang it, it'll probably hang more like this instead of like this. So leave that up to you. Remember, these are always just suggestions and ideas, and that I really, really want you to make them your own. So, watch these videos and then use them as inspiration to make things the way you like to make them. All right, so this time, you may or may not know how I like to switch things up. So we're going to do the purple on top. All right, purple and peach, and then the red, and then here's another page. There we go. I just have to shift them down a little. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and just do the one kiss there. 2 kisses here. All right. So now for the next discussion of things. The next part in creating earrings is obviously going to be the jewelry pieces that go along with your earrings. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate how to put the earring pieces on these earrings just yet because they've just been glued and they'll just keep falling off. So these I'm going to leave aside to dry. Oh, that's kind of cute. They fit together. But, as you recall, I had shared that these were going to be the top pieces for these earrings. Now, it is the same story where I have not glued these to these earrings. So what I'm going to do is demonstrate putting the jewelry pieces on here and then show you where I'll be gluing them onto the earrings. And then I'll sit them and let them dry before I ever consider picking them up or moving them around or anything like that. And the reason for this is because earrings can be incredibly frustrating for some. And the biggest reason for that is trying to move too quickly to the next step. Normally with quilling on a card or on a hanger, you put things down, you hold it for a little while, and you're good to go. Earrings, on the other hand, take a lot more patience and a lot more push it together while it's sitting on a flat surface and leave it alone. And so it's a lot more patience, a lot more time. So for the purpose of demonstrating, I like to demonstrate the most important parts and then let you know that I'm going to let certain things dry. So let's come back in and talk about our tools. So today I like to use pliers for doing jewelry pieces. Now these, those of you who are familiar with jewelry making may recognize these. These are definitely more jewelry appropriate. They're conical all the way down. They just kind of go down in a cone. These, on the other hand, are probably something that are a bit more utilitarian and a bit more common to have out in your garage than necessarily always for jewelry. But I like these with the ridges, the little teeth inside, and having the mix between the two really just does a good job of opening and closing without squishing things in weird ways. So you don't have like a bent jump ring. You have it open and close the way that you like to. So the jump rings I'm using today are a 7, a 7 and a 4. So what I am going to do with these is I'm going to open up the 7 with a mix of my 2 pliers. Alright, just open it like that. I've got my little bead here. And because I made it with a bead making slotted quilling tool, so a big, thick slotted quilling tool, refer back to the first week's video, it is incredibly simple to just loop that on there. It even will spin on there because it's so loose. If you've watched previous videos of mine before making jewelry, normally we're using my normal slotted quilling tool, and that is not necessarily the case. So this is kind of nice. You're then going to take your 4mm jump ring and loop that on there as well, and then close it back up. Now, this can absolutely be the time at which you glue your jewelry on. And for the purpose of demonstration, I will for one, and then I won't for the other. So, we're going to hold the jump rings, so that way they're not getting stuck all in the glue. And we're going to put a little bit of glue, come over to your earring here, and I'm going to have the hole facing up. Just personal preference. You can always have it facing down if you want. And I'm just going to glue it right like that. I'm just going to try to leave it there. The issue is that it might try to not lay down flat, so do what you can to make it lay down flush the way that you want it. So now the alternate is to also put the earring ring on there. So let's open this 7mm up again. Put our bead on there. Put our 4mm jump ring on there. We're going to close it back up again. Make sure you close it well, because otherwise you'll lose your earring. Alright. And then we're going to take our earring hook. Now, when the earring hook is facing up, that's where the jump ring opens up. So this points up, this opens up, just like that. Alright. I'm going to loop the 4mm on there, not the 7mm. This is what helps your earring dangle. So you could absolutely hang your 7mm on there. Heck, you could even put the bead straight on the earring hook, but it will not dangle. It's going to lay really stiff and probably be a little uncomfortable. Alright, so there you've got that all done up. So now, take this. I'm going to hold it the same way you did before. If you have a certain way that you want this to face up, let me take a look really quick. I think I want this side to be up. Then be sure that then the hook is facing down. Hold your bead, a little bit of glue, or a lot of bit of glue, and then do your best to lay that down just as flat as you did on the other one. So today it looks like it's going to actually behave. Sometimes it does not, and I can't get it to lay flat, which is why I'll choose sometimes to not put the hook first.
All right, and once these have dried, I'm going to do them the exact same way with the exact same size of jump rings. Just for the purpose of them not falling apart, I'm not going to demonstrate during class. Thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad that you have joined, that you're watching these videos. I hope this odd month of bead making and bead use is going to be useful to you, something creative, something a little bit out of the ordinary, and I hope to see you in future videos. If you would, if you create these, if you are working on other things, if you've created previous week's work and you want to share it, please, please, please go over to the chat called Look What I Made on my Patreon and share a picture or share progress of something that you're working on, even if it's not quilling. We want to get that chat started, and at this point, we need somebody to be brave enough to share what they're up to. So be that person, share with us what's going on, share with me. Also, go on over to Instagram. I have an account there at Quilling with Jess. Tag me in things that you're working on, whether it's quilling or not. I want to see what you creative crafters are up to. Even if it's cooking, I consider that crafting. Also somewhat science if you're baking. So please go on over there or follow along with me. You'll see all the things that I'm up to, places I'm going to be, deals that are going on, sales that are going on. And I just really in 2026, I want to start us off strong, making a good, strong community for people to come to and just get away from the craziness and wildness that is our world. So please join. I'm so grateful you were here today. Share with your friends, and happy crafting.